Dear attendees, thank you very much for joining us for the 2021 3D Histech Symposia, New Era of Digital Pathology. I would like to welcome our guest speakers, my colleagues, and the world who is with us together today for this following 4 hours. A new era is approaching us. Why is this new era? Digital pathology was with us for the last 20 years. What we call now today is the smart digital pathology. From these 4-hour-long presentations from 3D Histech developers, product managers, and or collaborators, partners from Holland, from Portugal, and from France, you will see that the pathology today is transformed, will be transformed with you in your laboratory, in your environment, to a smart working place, to a smart medical profession. In these 4 hours, my colleagues from the development will show you how at 3D Histech, these more than 100 developers from physics, electronics, optics, IT, server solutions, image analysis, how we realize the changing opportunities in pathology, how we develop for new systems, new scanning opportunities, data centers, and patient handling and case management tools for your work. From our invited speakers, you will see how these implementations happened, what problems, what issues have arisen. And after 4 hours, we will be back, and I hope we will have a good time together. Thank you very much for your next 4 hours attention to the symposia and to our presenters.
Good morning, good afternoon, and for some people, good evening. Thank you for spending some time with us today. My name is Nicolette Csányi, your moderator today. I would like to introduce the agenda that you can find below as well. You will have the opportunity to have 8 presentations, 4 speakers from 3D Histech, and we gladly present 5 guest speakers from 4 different environments of Europe who will speak about their own clinical workflow, discussing how digital pathology is transforming the workflow, how digital tools, medical devices reduce human error and improve patient outcomes. Before starting the symposium, just some housekeeping rules. We would love to hear from you. If you have any questions about the presentations, feel free to type it in the chat box. I will bring them up during the presentations and the speaker will reply to them. If by any chance you miss on some important points, do not worry, as a recorded version of the webinar will be available on our YouTube channel. Please stay tuned for further programs. So, the first speaker of today is Dr. Béla Molnár, the CEO of 3D Histech, who established the first European digital pathology devices manufacturer, the company that is dedicated to providing clinical pathologists, researchers, and universities with digital pathology solutions to facilitate quick and accurate diagnosis.
Dear attendees, dear co-speakers, welcome to the first presentation, which I called Digital Microscopy for Diagnostic and Therapeutic Pathology 2021. We are all working in the field and with the pathology, which is a 100 years old, continuously evolving profession in the medicine. Or techniques, or diseases, diagnostic classifications, developed and still developing. We are now contributing to this process where in the specimen embedding, sectioning, staining, molecular labeling, and evaluation through the developments of new microscopy techniques arrived in 2021 to a new milestone. It started surely earlier, where digitization of single slides appeared and were used, as well surely approved, in a special field of the fresh frozen section telediagnostics, where with the digital slide scanners, digital slide servers, digital microscopes allowed for us to perform a fast and rapid telediagnostics from the operation room into the operation room from our working room. In the last years, we realized that the continuously evolving new scanners for fluorescence, hematoxylin eosin labs, large academic labs, and with the opportunity to have mega slide databases, the digital pathology already have arisen, where macroscopic images from autopsy, from grossing, and from case-specific collected slides from hematoxylin eosin staining after hematoxylin eosin staining, or several later from the immunohistochemistry lab, and even if we performed and requested fish labeling of molecular alterations, were collected, could be evaluated sequentially, discussed in oncoteams, and then even used in archives for the specimen retrieval and re-evaluations. In the academia, here in Hungary, in Budapest, first we introduced digital education on the Semmelweis University, where our friend and collaborator, initiator, Professor Matolcsy, in the academic, in the after-graduate, and in the graduate training and education, used and uses these techniques for more than 2 decades. In 2021, digital pathology entered into a new milestone, contributing to the development of pathology. And this is the digitization of the pathology workflow. And this workflow surely is not only linked to the pathology department itself. Surely the specimen collection, the fixation, transportation starts in the hospital environment, and also the clinical data, the patient data, are transferred to our pathology lab. Where previously, surely a lot of manual sample identification, sample retrieval, sample preparation was done, and surely manually mostly. But in the recent years, we see the new automatic sample preparation systems where the barcodes already contributed to a significantly new level of specimen identification and the opportunity for slide scanning and as well to patient-specific evaluation. And this is somewhere 2 parallel developments now emerged to one workflow together, where closed information system, an information management system, can bring the pathology to the new level, where some predecessors in the hospital, in the academic university labs already appeared and came up. Radiology, cardiology, where this digital workflow had to be established, could be established 15 or 20 years ago, which is coming to a new level, even to the quantification and automation. And this is something new. This is not digital microscopy anymore. This is not digital slide scanning anymore. This is data, big data, personalized data, sensitive data, where additionally new aspects have to be opened, like cybersecurity, trusted users only, accessibility, and the follow-up of the data management, archiving, and maintenance. And this is the new steps that surely the previous predecessors of digitization already opened for us, that we have to be able to add, to save, to recover who is the doctor who cares about the case, who is the patient, and the identification of the specimen and the patient data integrated in this hospital information system, opening opportunity for quantification and logging of the events already were developed, especially in the radiology. We can see, we can remember our consultations with the radiologist that their IT information environment with their specimen scanners, CT, MRI, X-ray, already included these steps after the evolution of the technological opportunities. We work and we can work on displays, medical device approved, IVD approved, quality and color stabilized. And for all of this to be used and that we can contribute to this digital pathology workflow, here at 3DHISTECH we developed, after a 2 years process with an integrated evaluation of authority requirements, of experiences from the radiology, the case managers of IT environment, where these requirements from the diagnostic process, for the medical device, of the IVD approved diagnostic process, all that steps are included, archived and saved, and as well fulfilling all the requirements of the previous mentioned cybersecurity and patient-specific sensitive data. And this case manager, this is a superficial opportunity to work with our previous developmental tools and digital microscopy tools, like the digital microscope, who can deal with the digital slide tray. And in this digital microscope tooling, we find all and extra features of the optical microscope, magnification, movement, but also annotation, management. And then here you see the difference. We have to show, you have to define the patient, yourself, and the time and place of the evaluation, which will be recorded in the case file and added to the case evaluation profile. You can surely, collect and evaluate parallelly several slides from the same case, and even you can compare to previous cases. What is new and what is special, which will evolve and will appear continuously in different parts of the world, the quantification opportunity. Once we developed this immunohistochemistry, molecular labeling features, not only the subjective evaluation, but also the quantification of the special data can be can be performed and can be included in the reports on the morphological and on the immunohistochemistry and even in the fluorescence slides. The pathology is getting integrated from the smaller pathology service laboratories who collected specimen from the nearby ambulances, outpatient departments. Also today, big institutions with several thousand slides per day are emerging. For them, the integrated solution, the integrated data handling, the opportunity for an integrated everyday work with the different steps of the pathological diagnostics, like primary, like secondary request, like additional staining evaluations, like quantification, are all now done and can be done in this new tool on the case manager. The pathologist who today is a manager of the specimen, manager of the patient diagnostic and therapeutical outcome, working in the onco teams. With this all the time available tool, could be on a mobile tool, could be on the desk, and having all the access to this patient relative specific data, but also of the working process. Now can be in the better position to let faster and more robust and quantitative results to be done and that happen. In this new environment of big academic pathology departments, going through the digitization, we again will get acknowledged with previously radiological linked definitions, terms like DICOM, like PACS, like ISO, like integration, HR7, integrated health environment, whose detailed points you will hear from the oncoming presentations, from the digitized laboratory leaders and from the developers of the 3D Histech community. With this new digital workflow, either in a pathology lab, either in an academic pathology department, the digitization brings, in the COVID era and after the COVID era, the next step of pathology, where better and faster and higher volume diagnostic service can be done for the future and the better care of our patients. Thank you very much for your attention.
Great, thank you very much. Now we are going forward, and I would like to introduce to you the next speaker. She is the head of the Pathology Laboratory of IPATIMUP, the independent pathology laboratory in Porto. With Professor Catarina Eloy, we have been working together for years successfully. Professor Eloy, please take it away.
Hello everyone, it's a real pleasure to be here today. I do thank Digitizing for this initiative. This is great to be able to show what's been happening at our center, how digital workflow has been supporting the clinical assistant in our institute, which is IPATIMUP. My name is Catarina Eloy and I will present our workflow. So our institute has been founded for more than 30 years in Porto, Portugal. It is a research institute, but it has a pathology lab that is double credited by the College of American Pathologists and ISO, so it's strict rules for diagnosis. And these rules helped us a lot to implement digital pathology. So we've been starting the digital transformation of our lab for some years, and all of this got the perfect moment when we acquired the P1000 3D Stack scanner in July 2019. Since then, we've been rapidly taking actions to integrate the scanner in our LIS system, to optimize protocols, to establish a solid Q&A program. And then during the first part of 2020, while COVID pandemics was running, we did the validation of the digital image for primary diagnosis through the pathologists that were in the plan to be using digital settings. So we turned out to be fully digital after 1 year after the arrival of the scanner. And although this was a very complex process, the team was highly motivated and was very happy to be part of this process. So in the end, we are 14 pathologists. 4 are internal, 10 are consultants that come from other institutions, and now 8 are using digital pathology settings, while 6 are not using it, either because they're just reporting cytology, consultation cases, or even using other telepathology model that we have installed here. Some others that report less than 10 cases per month also are not investing in this type of technology. We have 10 technicians and 5 administratives. In the overall, we have 30,000 samples per year. We produce about 40,000 paraffin blocks and 60,000 slides, but we manage also slides from external sources, as we are a reference center for other institutions in Portugal. So we have histology, cytology, both enzymatic and non-enzymatic histochemistry, immunohistochemistry, in situ hybridization, either dark or bright field, and immunofluorescence. We do perform digital workflow for all of these types of samplings, except for cytology, and our turnaround time, except for special techniques, it's 2 days. So you can see it's very tight, but we could keep it even after the implementation of the digital workflow, and this was our major challenge. It was to keep the turnaround time. So what happened with us while we were implementing digital workflow? We had to visit other centers to have some education concerning what was needed for this new challenge, and some actions needed to be taken. So improve the lab tracking system, of course, with QR code readers installation. This is quite important. So QR code readers everywhere, QR codes in all samples and in all the phases of the processing. We renew some of the equipment of the lab. It was not deep, it was not all the equipments, but we needed to achieve standardization in cutting, staining and mounting. This is really important. If you don't achieve this, even the best scanner in the world, you cannot have a good product in the end. So we acquired a new stainer and mounter, which is the Sakura one, and some new microtomes to provide high quality preparations. We also did some changes in the space, managed in a different way, applied lean techniques so that samples could flow in a smooth way in the lab, sparing time, sparing movements. This is also a way that where digital transformation can improve the way we work. It's not just getting to digital, it's also improve other parallel things that makes the difference. We also preparate the information systems to receive and to store the heavy flow of images, and this is also quite important because if you don't have a good support of the information system, it will be quite difficult to have this ready for a clinical setting. So in the end, our network is 1 gigabyte. Everything starts in the scanner workstation where the images are acquired, then are stored in the case center server from TrisDisTech. Then they are transferred to a storage, large storage that can scale up because we never discard the images that we use for diagnosis. They are not erased. And then the 3D scanner viewer is integrated with our LIS, and we see the images in our workstation, which has a Dell Precision tower and 2 monitors. One of them is a 32 inches monitor so that we can see the images and that we can deal with all the reporting and all the text movement, texting and so on. The lab needed modifications, not just equipment, but we needed to adapt to the full chart schedule. So all slides being scanned and do this during our established turnaround time of 2 days. So we do a daily scanning. If a sample enters today in the lab, it's processed during this night, and tomorrow morning it's processed in the histology lab, and then in the middle of the day it's available for the pathologist to review. So it's quite fast lab work. All the protocols were validated, mainly using the 20x rapid magnification scanning protocol, and then there's a quality control that is performed directly in our LIS system for all scan slides. The first approach is performed by technicians, so they do a very tight control of the quality of the images so that the pathologists don't have to think much about this. This also contributes to gain confidence. So if they are used to have good quality of slides, why they should not be get used to good quality of images? And it takes part of the technician's work to make sure that the images are perfect for diagnosis. So all of our types of preparations, as I told you, histology, histochemistry, immunohistochemistry, bright field in cytoblocks are scanned, and we work on digital images. No, not for cytology. The digital view, the digital setting, it's very pleasant, so we can manage the images at very low magnification and get a huge amount of details, no problems with speed and magnification, no dragging effect, so it's quite comfortable. We have adapted protocols for types of different staining, so H and E, for instance, Giemsa stain for H. pylori, it's quite similar for H and E, and pathologists nowadays even say that they prefer digital image for H. pylori search in Giemsa stain instead of using the physical slides. Of course, immunohistochemistry has adapted protocols, and even cytoblock. We had to do some changes. For instance, in Zil-Nielsen stain, which is quite common in our lab, we know that the stain that we produce nowadays to be reviewed in the digital setting, it is not visible at all in the optical. So if we use a slide that is ready for digital, if we use it in our microscope, we don't see a thing. So it's quite special. We need here to adapt some things. We established a Q&A program that gives a sense of security to the pathologist, so they know that everything is being controlled, everything is being tracked, and they feel that they're receiving a good product in the end. So you can see here, although it's in Portuguese, in our list system, you can see here that all steps of the processing are tracked. You can see who did what and when, and the sequence of events. In each case, the pathologist is asked to evaluate the quality of the final product regarding the cutting, the staining, the microscopy work, and of course, the quality of the digital image. This allows us to have some numbers, and these numbers also drive our actions and activities in the lab. So we reached about 7,000 scans per month, which corresponds to about 1,600 cases scanned per month, and about 28 cases per month are rescanned, because the technical staff understand that is out of focus and needs to be rescanned, which is very, very low. If you see here, the cases that are evaluated as having a good image by the pathologists are very high, so 98%, it's very, very good. And we can see that in the overall, only 1.8% of cases need to have a review on physical slides. So this is really a success of the implementation. Concerning the quality and turnaround time, which are very important topics for us, what I can share with you is that the digital transformation stimulates the increment of the quality control. So we don't see that there's an impact in the quality of diagnosis produced in the overall. There's no impact in the quality of the lab product in the end, and this is what we got from the Q&A programs that we follow. And we can even understand that it's easier to go through digital transformation if you have already some quality control already installed. Concerning the turnaround time, what I can say to you is that in some settings, I'm not saying in all settings, it is possible to contract time in an enough way that you can reach a preservation of the turnaround time. But this requires careful work, tight optimization, and use of an approach that is time sparing. The modification in the pathologist's type of work, it also occurred. The validation of all types of preparation was a bit consuming. We used the CAP guidelines to do it, and we reached concordancy rates above 95% for all the pathologists involved. Some other topics related with the environment were also important, namely regarding the light control, the space management, as well as the workload management were relevant, so that there was the feeling of a comfortable way of working, and that this transformation did not represent a threat or an aggression to the pathologists. Yes, in the end, it turned out to be quite pleasant to start working in this environment. So our list system centralizes everything. We have our list of things to report. We can open, you can see the request, the microscopy images, the microscopy description. You can have access to the slides to see all of them, including techniques, and report and sign in the same setting. So it's perfect. It's very, very comfortable. Yeah, this transformation got a positive impact in our assistancy, and this turned out to have a quite relevant influence in all the circumstances that we need to share, in the costs, and also in the time, that the way we manage time and how we can reduce the time to have cases ready for expedition, for send to the clinician. So in terms of sharing, this was a very important quality of the digital transformation because of the pandemic situation. We use the digital image to reduce the distance between people. For instance, the internal consultation cases, I could ask a colleague to see some cases without the need to meet him to exchange the slides. So the slides were already there. It only needed a short message saying, please see, there's a consultation case for you. I could annotate and see, please take a look at this area. This is where I have my doubts, and don't need to write something in the physical slide that sometimes is difficult to do. Some other things that are related with quality assurance program, for instance, to compare stainings with previous with new types of reagents is facilitated with the use of archived image. It can be done at distance, and in the overall distance was overcome by this type of operation. Either pathologists, either technicians could work at distance for some types of works. In time, we tried to transform the present case in a past case in a real fast and safe way. The points in our workflow where we could identify this easily is, for instance, in the archive management, where it's easier to access prior cases, is easier to archive. So it turned out to be less demanding to do a more aggregated report. The case assignment is also facilitated. The review of large specimen, as far as I've been informed, is much faster in the digital setting. It's also my personal opinion. Zooming, shifting slides, synchronized observation of slides, these are all tools that can help us contract a bit the time that we spend doing reviewing and reporting cases. And of course, the flexibility of the scheduling for reviews facilitated by the remote access also turned out to have a pretty good impact and turnaround time. So I don't have time now, but I will have time late in the evening. So I may going out now, and then I return having a connection from home, and then I do the final revision of some cases that I think are important to be reporting during this working day. Yeah, costs are really important. We cannot deny this. And for now, we have some impacts that we would like to share with you. So in a way, we've been using the transformation of the physical slide into a digital image, easier to manage, to reduce the traveling of the slides. So paper, we reduced in the prints that we do in about 25% of the prints. So it is a fantastic number. So we are consuming less and less paper. This is also a pro-environment attitude that we are really happy to follow. We have less amount of post office usages and recuts for secondary observation in other institutions. So all of these is synonym of less physical traffic and more digital traffic. We shared about more than 100 cases and corresponding to more than 600 slides in the last 6 months of 2020, which demonstrated this trend. And to finalize, I would like to say to you that digital transformation also stimulates in all of us the new resources. So we'll have images available so that we can study, so that we can try to find new resources for clinical application. And that's what we've been doing. This is just one example of what we have done in the past months and using digital images. And we are looking forward to this new window of opportunity to try to implement artificial intelligence in our practice in a safe way, the same safe way we implemented the digital workflow. And saying this after sharing my experience, which is fantastic with the P1000 from 3D Stack, I would like to thank all the team of 3D Stack that helped us a lot during this implementation, helping us in the difficult moments and helping us to overcome the obstacles that we found through it. So I do thank you very much, and I welcome you for all your questions. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I hope that you have enjoyed our talk about IPATIMUP. It is a real pleasure to be here today in this text session. Now it's up to me to reply to the questions that you write down in the chat. So I will go through them. I will try to, at least. So what was the turnaround time of pathology diagnosis before the digital pathology started? We had a benchmark, it's 2 days. If we have a simple exam in histology or cytology, the turnaround time is 2 days. And we were fortunate to keep this turnaround time because we squeezed our process of lab management. So in a way, digital pathology introduction in the workflow did not mess with the overall turnaround time. What do you think about EVDR? Well, I have a mixed feeling about this because we are a research institute. So we are having both diagnosis and a research in the same minds, in the same building. So in a way, we like very much what EVDR can provide, the safety, the quality, and so on. But on the other hand, it blocks us a bit in terms of innovation, of trying new things, of experimenting new protocols, and so on and so forth. Can you mention anything that is still missing from your digital pathology workflow? Yes, there's a lot missing. So we would like to proceed to cytology, to scanning of cytology. We would like very much to move to AI tools, the sooner the better, but for now we are still getting used to the digital workflow. And yeah, of course, what do you think about the benefits of image analysis? Would you implement some AI? Of course, we would like very much to implement tools, because these are the ones who will justify the financial investment that we are doing. We cannot deny there's an investment in digital workflow. There needs to have a return input, and this will come from the implementation of image analysis and, of course, AI CAD tools that we are looking forward to implement. Another question. So, regarding the storage, do you use NAS, DIS, or VNA? Yeah, you should do easier questions. I'm a pathologist, so I'm not the one who provides you this reply immediately. I will be very happy to give you this answer in a second time after asking our IT team. We work as a team, so we don't know all of the steps of our workflow by heart. We deal with a lot of new things. The implementation is quite complex, but it brings a lot of advantages. Yes, which special staining machine do you use? Well, for histochemistry, we use the Sakura. So we have the Sakura for HND, and we perform some special stainings there. For immunohistochemistry, we use the Ventana system from Roche, which is also adapted, and it's also integrated for an easier way. It works perfectly with all of them. By the way, all the 3D softwares are very easy to integrate, and we had a very easy way to have everything in a single place, as I showed you. So it's very easy to work with. More things. Yeah. How do you manage the storage cost? Yeah, this is a question that we are still seeing how it goes. We are doing full digital for 1 year. We are evaluating what's the amount of storage that we need, and probably we will need to reevaluate this situation sooner than later. But for now, it's quite good to have all images at hand for revision of past exams of the patient, for legal purposes, because if we do a diagnosis in a digital image, we need to keep it. So for now, we have to think of a way of optimizing the costs, but not deleting of the images. We use the 20x magnification. It's perfectly enough for our work. So it's not a big problem. How are long-term? Yeah, already replied to this one. What was the most common cause of rescan? Yeah, the most common cause is out of focus, or because the fragment has a part that is calcified, or there's a increased thickness of the fragment that is being cut. So if there's this type of variations in cutting or in processing, they will be reflected in scanning. But if you saw carefully, 1.8% of rescanning, it's insignificant. We have very, very good numbers. So we don't rescan so frequently. And yes, most of times it's out of focus because of problems with preparations. Did you envision an automated final Q&A check? Of course, automated Q&A check would be very good, but let me tell you that this will not eliminate human check in the end. There's a lot of variance to observe when you do this quality assurance program regarding the scanner. So we check the number of fragments, we see if everything is there in the slide, we see if there's no exchange between the slide, the virtual slide, and the physical slide. We see that if the staining is good, we see many things. And it's a time that is well invested, in my opinion, because in the overall, the quality of the image for diagnosis is very, very high. Yeah, some more questions. Let me see. There was a lot of training needed for the lab people. I am very fortunate to have lab people that are very, very skilled. They need some training, but not extraordinary. I did not need to hire anybody because we optimize our functioning. So we contracted the time of the technicians. How many scanning machines? For now we have just one. We would like, of course, to have at least one more. Do you have a backup scanning system? Yes, we do have. If the slides are stored in the scanner native format or in DICOM, we use the format from 3DStack, so it's native. We don't exchange for DICOM. To be honest, we use the less steps possible so that we can keep the turnaround time. So every step that we can skip to have it, it's good. And all things that will increase the size of the image are also skipped. So all of this must be considered when we take these resolutions. Of course, the DICOM would be perfect, but as far as we are concerned, we are having no problems in sharing and in exchanging with other people digital images produced in the format native from 3DStack. So this does not constitute a problem per se. Is there any legal constraint to use either formats? That is, one format is mandatory for diagnosis? No. There's, at the moment, as far as I understand, there's even a legal emptiness regarding these types of issues, which are very new. And in Portugal, I must confess to you that we are the second lab going into digital. And with this extent and quality assurance, we are the first one. So there's no experience at all. There's no special regulation concerning this. I think we extended it ourselves a lot, replying to all of these questions. Maybe I would need to end this part, and I will end thanking so much for all of your questions and participation, and wishing you all the best in this beautiful event from 3D Tech. Thank you so much.
We are moving along to the next presentation. Annamária Csizmadia is a crucial member of the 3D Histech team. She is the head of the Digital Pathology product line and will speak about our complex diagnostic solution. Annamária, over to you.
Welcome everyone. My name is Annamária Csizmadia. I have been working at 3D Histech for 8 years. I'm responsible for the diagnostic product portfolio, and today I will talk about our new complex diagnostic solution. Clinical pathology is now an essential component of high-quality clinical care. Pathology tests are important for reaching diagnosis in 85% of hospital patients. Indeed, in some areas, including oncology, infection, and transplantation, a final medical diagnosis and optimal treatment cannot be delivered without histopathology investigation. Despite the importance of routine pathology, the workflow is the most complex diagnostic procedure. The daily work of a pathology lab can be divided into 3 different phases: pre-analytical, analytical, and post-analytical. The primary role of the histology laboratory is the provision of a diagnostic service through the preparation, analysis, and investigation and interpretation of tissue samples. Given that the procedures involved are so complex, it is unavailable that errors can transpire throughout the stages of the entire process. Identifying those errors and their root causes in the clinical setting can be perplexing. The errors are often partitioned into processing, technical, and documentation categories. Errors in pathology are more traditionally subdivided into pre-analytical, analytical, and post-analytical phases as the laboratory's whole workflow. In the pre-analytical phase, the chance of an error occurring during the process is between 30 to 75%, resulting in the delays and making the job of clinicians even harder. If we talk about pathology departments and laboratories, we can say that the so many countries, so many customs prevalently reflects the current situation. Unfortunately, there is no standardization for some pre-analytical steps that define the quality of tissue section and staining processes. These factors fundamentally affect the quality of the digitalization. In the recent period, especially in the last year, the demand for digitalization has increased significantly. Digital slide scanners must be capable of scanning glass slides of different quality. Furthermore, our system must accept a wide variety of glass slides and with different cover slip types prepared by different laboratories around the world. Some factors such as the high cost of the digital pathology system and the lack of appropriate guidelines may hinder the rapid application of digital pathology. Based on these facts and phenomena, we can say that it is pretty difficult to meet everyone's needs. Laboratory results must be as accurate as possible. All aspects of laboratory operation must be reliable, and preparing must be timely in order to be useful in the clinical or public health settings. Laboratories produce test results that are widely used in clinical and public health settings, and health outcomes depends on the accuracy of the testing and reporting. If inaccurate results are provided, the consequences can be very significant, including unnecessary treatment complications, failure to provide the proper treatment, delay in correct diagnosis, additional and unnecessary diagnostic testing, and so on. These consequences result in increased cost in time and personal effort, and often in poor patient outcomes. So, what may be the basic acceptation of a pathology laboratory? The minimization of the different types of failures is needed the most. Another point of view may be the daily process, follow-up, and precise case tracking options. These, the transparent workflow can help to increase the effectiveness of the laboratory. Without reliable scanning speed, the daily routine workflow cannot be ensured. We must assist in measuring the capacity of a lab, and digitalization can be of help to increase the level of quality assurance. A reliable system is needed by a diagnostic lab. The complexity of pathology work continuously grows. The type of samples is also continuously varying, thus increasing their number. The mentioned needs of a pathology lab are necessary to keep up the expectations. Digitalization can achieve major changes in the workflow. It can ensure producing faster diagnoses, can accelerate the daily process. Digitalization is not an easy step, especially if we consider the challenges of the scanning operation. The quality of the prepared slides depends on the pre-analytical phase, which has no standardization, but the digitalization will be able to initiate the increasing quality of the tissue section preparations. I must also mention the image format, as each manufacturer has its own. However, diagnostic use will result in all manufacturers using the common image type, which will be the DICOM. The result of this process is standardization. 3D Histech's product portfolio is very complex. We offer flexible solutions to our customers. There are 6 scanners types with different capacities and capabilities. Some of scanners are capable for fluorescence scanning, and some of them have no equipment for it. A slide server is needed for storing the slides, and also some image quantification software products are available on the palette, and so on. The number of combination is almost endless, and such a degree of complexity is almost impossible to follow. In the diagnostic field, a simple thing is needed. Everything should work well, and this field has no chance to stop the workflow due to any failure. We created a new fixed configuration diagnostic package from the flexible portfolio. We have made some major development process, producing some features for the diagnostic users. It has a fixed configuration, everything works together. The package creates a comprehensive diagnostic solution for our customers. The panoramic pathology diagnostic system includes not only diagnostic slide scanners, but it provides a complex pathology information system that ensures case management, digital slide visualization, and image analysis algorithms together. The affected scanners are different from each other. Their structure is completely different. Each scanner has its own advantages, but aside of this, the new configuration of the P1000 flash desk and the P300 ensure that the same optical path is used. It will help to produce the same image quality of digital slides, regardless of the scanner device that was used for scanning. So each scanner has the same objective set from the same vendor. Furthermore, the same camera will also be used by them, and the same type of flashlight source will illuminate the sample during the scanning process. In the diagnostic field, color reproducibility is the most important issue regarding slide digitalization. The same optical path and illumination structure are not enough for producing the same visualization experience. The International Color Consortium, or ICC profile, must be identical for both scanners when scanning slides, and we must go further. A diagnostic monitor is also needed. There are some monitors at the market that have IVD certificate. We pay special attention to proper color calibration. Regarding achieving a successful scanning operation, we can define 4 major steps. The first is the tissue preparation. The second is the glass evaluation. As glass slides with inadequate dimensions are not suitable for scanning. The third step is the proper scanning operation, which must be fully automated to minimize the chances of user error. In the case of poor image quality, the scanner rescans the slides automatically, thus avoiding that only during evaluation it is revealed if the sample is not suitable for diagnosis. Our diagnostic scanners include dual objectives. They are compatible with glass and foil cover slip slides. They support the dual barcode reading process. Automated tissue detection helps to define the sample area correctly. The focus quality check ensures the rescan scanning process if it is needed. The diagnostic scanner software can handle multiple servers during the continuous scanning process, and it supports the MRXS and the DICOM file formats as well. In order to grant the easier scanning operation, the scanner software must be fully automated. So if you see the steps of the scanning operation, we can say that the first step is a magazine loading process. Then the user must to select the correct objective type. And then the software's AI algorithm will define the tissue area for scanning. The software uses automated focal point assignment process. And as I mentioned that, the diagnostic scanner software includes focus quality check, which ensures the automated rescanning function if in the case of poor image quality. The user must to do the magazine loading process or magazine loading phase and the objective selection phase only. Some diagnostic lab has research-related needs as well. Especially in a university environment, research projects also take place. The ERISC software always will have some unique feature. They can have the success of the research. Therefore, we allow installing the ERISC scanner software to the DX environment. The ERISC software runs separately from the diagnostic settings. It has its own use parameters. And the ERISC software installed next to the DX will have no effect on the functioning of the DX scanner. If we take a quick comparison between the DX and the ERISC scanners, we can say that the diagnostic scanner can use only a fixed IVD-approved ICC profile, while the research scanner software uses flexible, more ICC profiles for define the correct colors of the slides. The immersion objective possibility always could be a point of view to the researchers. That's why we offer the water immersion vortex objective option to the Panoramic 1000. Regarding the fluorescence scanning mode, we can offer fluorescence equipment for the Panoramic 300, and we can say that the automated tissue detection is available with the diagnostic scanner software, while the research scanner software uses a different threshold method for defining the tissue area. The user can select a scanning area manually, and the adaptive focal point deposition also available only with the diagnostic scanner software. The research scanner software uses manual focal point definition, which can help to scan the difficult slides. When the patient arrives at the hospital, their personal data are recorded. If the sample of a patient must be examined, the data is transferred to the laboratory information system, or LIS. In the case of the pathological examination, the case manager will receive the patient data from the LIS. The case manager pairs the digital slides with the patient data, but it is also able to follow up the stages of sample processing. The scanner neither uses or stores patient data. The data stored by the case manager is encrypted. The case manager manages the entire sample processing and digitalization workflow until the report is generated. The patient data with the diagnosis is sent into the LIS again, and the case manager will store the results if image analysis, results of image analysis as well. Additional responsibility for our products is to use a secure communication channel for transferring the data. As I mentioned, case manager controls each step of the diagnostic workflow from the scanning process until the final report, but it can also track the pre-analytical and analytical processes as well. The diagnostic system can be used to histology, cytology, and autopsy samples. This is how the workstation of the pathologist looks like. The left side shows the case manager's user interface, has three parts, such as the case management part, list of the selected cases, and the details of one case. The right side of the windows is the diagnostic clinical viewer. In order to avoid the case mixing error, the diagnostic viewer can visualize only the actual viewed cases slides. The clinical viewer includes diagnostic applications package, which includes some image analysis software, especially for breast tissue. After the measurement, the results of the measurement will be saved into the report automatically. The clinical viewer has some very important functions developed especially for clinical users. The activity tracking of the user can help to make each process transparent. It has a user-based annotation handling. It still has a parallel view option. The clinical viewer can open different slides, DX and RX as well. But in the case of the slide was produced by RX scanner or research scanner software, a label will appear on a digital slide. Furthermore, the poor image quality of the slide also will indicate a warning message to the user. The new IVDR regulation requires a new approach from the vendors. One of them is cybersecurity. The data protection is very important in this modern world. More and more regulations are in place to protect personal data and identify individuals who have access to diagnostic systems. I have collected the main needs of the regulation. Some of them are to limiting access to trusted users only and using time methods to terminate sessions within the system. A strong password is also needed. Furthermore, it requires user authentication or other appropriate controls before permitting software or firmware updates. User authentication means to limit access to the devices through the authentication of users. So only a trusted person can access the system. The software uses automatic time method to terminate sessions within the system where appropriate for the user environment. The software employs a layered authorization model by different privileges based on the user role. So the software has three different privileges. Administrator user can add a new user and can delete the already exist ones. And the administrator user can export the event log files. Service privilege means the support or technician can access to the log files and permitting software or firmware updates. The general user can use the scanner software for scanning purposes. 5 high levels of permission groups are distinguished, and the others will be set based on the hospital needs in the Keys Manager application. The system administrator for the installation and customization of the laboratory is needed. This user will be handed over to the pathology laboratory after installation, who will need to change the user's password. The interface is configured with individual permissions. A user who doesn't have these features will not be able to access them on the interface. The minimum permission is enabled for the proper user group. The administrator user can modify the user's permission. If an authenticated user is inactive for more than 30 minutes, the system will automatically log out the user from the Keys Manager application. Generally, the clinical environment means that the scanners and servers are integrated into the local internet. The internet connection protects the diagnostic system from viruses. Since our systems are not accessible by external connections, it is difficult to know if an error event has occurred. The email sending process doesn't work due to closed internet. We developed the Central Log Service application, which is a browser application or server-based application that can send the report if an error due to all log files from the system that will be saved into this application. So it manages not only the log files of the scanners, but it also stores the log files of the Keys Manager and the slice storage application as well. This is how looks like the major interface of the Central Log Service application. It also has a user authentication process. Only trusted user can access to this information. All the installed clients can be available through this software. We can check the state of the scanning process or the availability of the device, and we can access to the log files of the Keys Manager as well. Statistical analysis can be done easily from the saved log files. We can check, for example, the scanning duration or the trend of the scanning process. We can check the system alerts the user if maintenance is required. The Central Log Service application helps to keep the workflow transparent. It stores the events of report-related operations such as report creating, generating PDF report, deleting signature from the report. The patient creating function also can be followed by this application. For example, who and when added new cases to the system. So the central log service application stores log files, not just from the scanner, but it saves the events of the case manager, as I mentioned that previously. 3D Histech offers diagnostic digital slide scanners of 3 different types in size. All of them using the same optical paths with the same physical objectives. In the case of the 20x physical objective, we can achieve 40x magnification, 40 times magnification levels. With the 40x physical objective, the magnification level will grow to 80 times. Both types of scanners can be used with a single layer and ZTEC scanning as well, except the flash disk, which can scan only in a single layer currently. The Panoramic 300 has its own slide magazine, while the Panoramic 1000 supports Sakura tissue tech and the Leica cover slipper magazines as well. Both diagnostic scanners use AI-based tissue detection. There is no adjustable profile in the software. Automated self-calibration helps to keep the system in the best shape and helps to create excellent image quality continuously. The central log service application provides information on the current state of the scanning and of the scanning process and the scanner. And all log events can be tracked through the application externally. The complex solution uses encrypted data to fulfill the cybersecurity needs. Laboratory information system is intended to track the received patient sample through the pre-analytical tissue processing. These applications make the stage of the registration, gross dissection, sectioning, staining processes transparent, but they have no information about the scanning process or the inspection. In our pathology information system, case manager observes and tracks the stage of the scanning process. It pairs the digital slides to the case. It provides complex tools to the pathologist to make diagnosis in the easiest way. The system covers each step from the scanning operation to the final report. It includes a clinical viewer application and image analysis algorithms. The result of them also will be saved into the final report. The Panoramic Pathology Diagnostic System is a completely new ecosystem that doesn't only provide digital slide scanners, but grants a complex image management system as well. The pre-analytical phases of the pathology workflow are transparent by the Laboratory Information System, or LIS, while the analytical and post-analytical phase is clearly visible through the Pathology Information System, or PIS. Thank you for your attention.
Welcome, everyone. I'm very glad that so many are listening to our symposium today. Let's see the questions. We have 2 questions. One of them is, which information do you see in scanning history, event overview? As I mentioned, that the scanner software has its own event history, and we We ensure to access these log files and process information remotely. So the central log service application also includes all the events, logs and user activity and so on. When we install the DX solution, we provide the keys manager as well, which is our image management system, and we provide scanners together. So all the installed clients will be available through the central log service application, which includes almost everything. The user can reach the scanners, the log files, the scanning process, the activity of the users can be checked. And if somebody wants to create a statistic analysis, also it's available with this application. Other question is, the fluorescence scanning is possible to add after buying some of the panoramic DS solutions, or it needs to buy another scanner. We allow to use the fluorescence scanning possibility with the DX scanner. We have the 200. We have Panoramic 300, which has fluorescence equipment. A unique scanner software controls the fluorescence scanning mode, and we have a dedicated scanner software for DS scanning. Can the DX file format be used by third-party AI application? Yes. 3DHISTECH uses its own file format, which is the MRXS. Through the DX solution, we use the same MRXS file format, and we also can use the DICOM. So yeah, third-party application can use the diagnostic slides as well for image evaluation. Okay, more question? Okay, thank you for your question. I hope we can meet in person soon, and I wish everyone a pleasant day. Bye.
Now this is the turn of Professor András Matolcsy, the director of the first department of pathology and experimental cancer research of the Semmelweis University in Budapest. Please give your presentation.
Good morning. First of all, I would like to thank for the invitation, this digital symposia for 3D HISTECH. This time I'd like to share our experiences about the digital pathology during the COVID-19 pandemia, what we had in the last year. The COVID pandemia challenged all medical professionals, including pathologists as well. On March 15, 2020, came the direction from the government that all doctors over 65 years are prohibited to enter their working place. So that's mean a significant number of doctors are not allowed to work as pathologists. And the question was, how can we maintain the surgical pathology service? The second question was whether we can do home office work for digital pathology and home office work for surgical pathology. If we consider the number of doctors or senior doctors, it's really a bottom-heavy distribution. As you see, the statistics from American medical colleges, which is a quite fresh result, shows that in pathology more than 60% of the doctors are over age of 55. If you consider the age distribution of Hungarian pathologists, this is pretty much the same situation. over 30% of the pathologists are over age of 60, and a significant number of doctors are older than 65 years. So the question is, how can we maintain the surgical pathology service when we lost the doctors over age of 65 in the routine diagnostic procedure? So in the last 12 years, we made many efforts to digitalize the department, and by 2017, we announced complete digitalization of the department. We digitalized the education. We had the graduate training when we have the education on digital. We have the postgraduate training, which is digital, and even the continuous medical education is made on digital. This is the same situation with diagnostic. We had the digitalization for the H&E light microscopy, immunohistochemistry, FISH. We do the consultation. We can do the consultation on digital, and even we can make the documentation. And there are many fields in the research where digital pathology is involved. So in the department, we have the high capacity of scanner, and there are working stations when doctors can choose whether they sign out the cases on digital or they sign out the case the conventional light microscopy. If we made a survey of the result of the digitalization, it's surprising. Less than 20% of the cases sign out on digital, and we didn't know the reason. How can be that when all facilities are available for digital diagnostics, and even a consultation is available on a tablet platform? And the result showed that the most problem is that senior pathologists I dislike digital diagnostics. They rather insist on the light microscopy consultation. So therefore, the young doctors has no chance to consult the cases on digital or sign out on digital, since the senior pathologists preferred light microscopy. So finally, we had the feeling that the senior pathologist holds back the young pathologists doing digital diagnostics. Now that during the COVID pandemia, the senior pathologists have to decide what to do digital at home or retire and gardening at home instead of doing pathology. So in these cases, the senior pathologists rather selected digital pathology working at home. So when we have a scanner, high-capacity scanner, and we have digitalized slides, doesn't mean this is distant diagnostics. The distant diagnostics is a more complex procedure. If we want to see the elements of the diagnostic, we have to see how is it done in the department with light microscopy. So the first pathologists have to read the clinical chart and clinical documentation. Based on the clinical documentation, they have to do the grossing of the specimen. The specimen have to be embedded. H&E slides have to be done, and the pathologists have to read the H&E slides. And then based on the H&E slide, they have to order the immunohistochemistry, read the immunohistochemistry, and even they need to do some FISH analysis, order, read, or even molecular analysis, order and read. And finally, they make the report as a synthesis of all of this information. So that means in the digital pathology or any diagnostics, there is a very intensive data flow. So we have to provide something which provide this intensive data flow, and this is the Trackenstein platform what 3D Histech elaborated. In this platform, they organize and manage the day and the work of the pathologist. At the first glance, they can see what is the task for the day. Let's say 69 cases are assigned this day to the pathologist, 1 case is in progress, 67 is finished, and no acute cases, urgent cases, and no pending cases. So they manage the whole day what to do and control what was done. So then they can select the case, click on the case, and the case shows all the data what belongs to the certain case. They can read the clinical history, they can read the macroscopic description of the specimen, and even can see the images of the macroscopic preparations. And then they can click on the slide and can review the slides. They can search the slides, they magnitude it, look around, and based on the H&E images, they have to order the immunohistochemistry. So there's a file, when they click on it, and they can select the immunohistochemical analysis, which be sent by the system to the immunohistochemistry lab. And when the immunohistochemistry is done, the scanner combines the data together, and they can analyze together. It's a very big advantage of the system, the so-called parallel view is H&E and immunohistochemistry. In that case, they synchronize the H&E images with the immunohistochemistry. If it's a certain field is selected, the same field is shown in the immunohistochemical analysis. And finally, based on the results, they can make the microscopic description and finalize the case as a report. So this system is very helpful to transform the digital slide to really communication and homework what we expect from the pathologist. So there are many bad sides of the COVID-19, but there is a good side of COVID that help us to accept and use digital pathology, and this way seniors are more enthusiastic about digital diagnostics. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you for this detailed presentation. Now we have a short break and we will continue at 12 o'clock Central European Time. In the meantime, you can check our website or other videos here. See you later. Welcome everybody back. After the break, we will continue with Dr. Konnie Hebeda, pathologist at the Radboud UMC in the Netherlands. She will discuss the motivation, choices and experiences during the process of digitizing the diagnostic pathology workflow to support specialization, consultation, teaching and the application of artificial intelligence.
Gentlemen, it's a pleasure to discuss with you digitizing the pathology workflow in an academic environment. In this case, the Radboud University Medical Center in Nijmegen, the Netherlands. I have no financial disclosures. Pathology faces some challenges, and one of them is the growing workloads that is partly due to the aging population and also the growing number of cancer diagnoses that is related. Meanwhile, the number of pathologists in our country is rather stable at 350 for a population of 17 million, and that is still growing. And another issue is that technicians in pathology are scarce. And while the expertise in pathology that is required from a pathologist is increasing, this needs also an increase in skill, or almost inevitably leads to an increase in skill to provide a specific and specialized expertise to all patients. And that's where it's needed. And you can see this in the numbers. We had several years ago about more than 50 pathology labs in the Netherlands, and it's going down now to 47. And then there is the growing demand of molecular diagnostics in several fields of pathology, and this really needed more integrated diagnostics. And finally, there is the exciting new application of artificial intelligence in the form of computational pathology. And of course, the COVID-19 pandemic was also a changer in workflows of pathology. So going digital could solve many of these problems and challenges. And this includes digital diagnostics, but also digital teaching, networking, and for applying artificial intelligence, digitizing is really essential to be able to do. But that's not easy. It's not as simple as just pushing a few scanners into your lab, plug them, and then just start doing digital pathology. I will take you on the journey of our department going digital. It started in 2015 when our new boss of the department, Katrien Grunberg, had the vision that to face all these challenges, it would be necessary to digitize pathology. And at that moment, we already had a scanner that was mainly used for educational purposes and research. But then we decided we needed to do a pilot with real diagnostics to get experience and to see what it would take us and what we would need to really digitize all our work processes. And so for that, we released the Philips scanner, and meanwhile, it took us 2 years to convince our board of the hospital that we really needed the investment and money to go this road and to really digitize, to be able to meet all these challenges in the future. And we, together with many different departments that helped us, and different people produced a huge pile of paper, and we had to make this publish the European tender. And finally, in 2019, Sectra and 3D Histech won the tender and gained a contract to provide a full digital environment for our department. So during 2019, the beginning of 2019, we were able to start rolling out everything. But as these large projects go, it always takes longer than you would hope for. And really, in the very early spring of 2020, we were almost there. And that was when Corona hit. So just the last validation steps were still missing. And since we had to stay home, work from home, within a couple of weeks, we had everything, the whole system fully implemented in our diagnostics and up and running. And so we have been working now digitally for 1 year. And for this year, we are planning now to have at least one of our algorithms that were developed in the computational pathology group within our daily routine practice. So what do you need to go to change your workflow to a digital diagnostics environment? It took us really many sessions to go through all details of our work process to change the workflow, because we decided if we go digital, we must do everything. You can't keep up a digital flow next to the flow with glass slides. It's not possible with the manpower that we had. So we really had to go all the way and really design one single process for everything, for all the diagnostics. Essential in this process is to have a good track and trace system with barcode scanning from the very beginning of the tissue when it arrives at the lab until the last report that is sent out. And one of the things that we really needed is to automate as much as possible, because we have a limited number of people, limited manpower, and also to make sure that since there is no longer the slides, to be able to track things, that you really don't lose or mix up cases during the process. And then it's very important to create a continuous flow to all your lab processes, because if there is somewhere is a bottleneck, this will lead to obstacles everywhere in your process. And so a smooth, continuous flow is really, really essential. But then, of course, being an academic hospital, nothing is just smooth and continuous. And that's why we really had to make sure that in every step it would also be possible to prioritize. If there is an urgent case coming, you really have to break into all your processes. This is a rather simple diagram now of what our process looks like. So at the left side, you see we have an electronic patient system, EPIC, where the clinicians can place an electronic order for the specimen, the biopsy, or the resection. And this is together received in a central laboratory reception, where every case is assigned a number, a unique number, and this is a number that is derived from our national pathology database, POLGA. And this is the number that will follow where you can follow the whole case through the system. But in the gross room, every block and every block will also get individual numbers, and then later on, if the tissues are prepared, they will also be individually labeled to be able to track them. After the stains are made, the slides are made, they are immediately scanned and then are recorded in our image management system. And after a quality check that I will demonstrate on the next slide, the case will be released for the pathologist to look at, and then depending on whether there's more stains required or additional, for example, molecular tests, the case will be in the system until the report is authorized. The electronic report goes back to the electronic patient system, but also into our national database, where it can be retrieved whenever the patient is seen or wherever the patient is seen within the country. And the digital images then are stored so that we always can, as long as they are in storage, retrieve within seconds when we need them again. Unfortunately, our storage is not yet very large, so we, at the moment, still we can store the slides for about 3 months, but we are desperately trying to well, yeah, you would like to have to store everything forever, but a year would be already very nice. I want to show you a very essential part in this whole system, and that's the quality check that is done by the technician. So we have a working place for a technician, and it's virtually all day manned by someone who is checking the block and the slide to see if there's nothing missing in the slide, check the slide quality, staining quality, and then compare it with the scanned image to see if the scan quality is okay, the focus is sufficient, if there's no tissue missing in the scan, and only then the slide is released, the virtual slide is released for the pathologist. And 90% about approximately of our slide flow is assigned automatically to field area in pathology like GI pathology or hematopathology, but of course there's still 10% about left, like the needle biopsy, lymph node needle biopsies, whether they can be either a question of lymphoma or of carcinoma, and depending on this clinical suspicion, the technician is also assigning the case then to a specific area in pathology. And as you can see here, everything from the block to the slide to the report, it can be tracked by a barcode. And this is the working space of the pathologist. And as you can see here, we have a curved screen for our digital viewing of the slides. And what's very nice is that you have the thumbnails in the bottom, so you can see all the stains here, and it's large enough to have several images next to each other on the same monitor. And the other monitor is used for all, mainly the very important part is the image management system, but also our speech system and the national database information are on this monitor. But this image management system is really a very essential part of going digital, because this is really what helps to keep an overview over your cases. Before you had to organize the piles of glass slides to keep track of where in the process cases were and not to get rid of them. But now you can see, you can make personal files, but also there are also some general files, and it's very easy then to manage all your cases. And you can, for example, we have color codes for cases that are not yet seen by a pathologist, cases that have already a report, and cases that are authorized, but for example, waiting for molecular tests. And you can sort them by all kinds of different, virtually all information that's in here can be used to sort your cases very easily. And you also always can see if there are slides in this case, and if they are already there, or just if they're still in the process of staining, for example. Then, of course, digital pathology gives us a lot of flexibility and options for networking. And you see in the right upper corner one of our tumor board rooms, where in this U-shaped table the specialists used to sit, like the surgeon and the pathologist, the radiologists, etc. And everybody has their own desktop with to prepare the cases, but then we can share everything what we like to share on these big screens. But since COVID, we no longer have these physical meetings, and this is replaced by a digital meeting room where we also can share our digital slides. We use life size for this. And this is an image of our daily meetings. In the morning, we have a short meeting with all pathologists and residents, and we exchange interesting or difficult cases also during these meetings by showing the digital slides. And then this part is just a glance into several homes right after the COVID pandemic hit the Netherlands and we had to stay home and work from home. These were the first working spaces that were installed, and so we were still able to work from home during the whole time. And of course, for digital consultation and for panels, tumor panels, for example, national panels, it's very helpful to have good quality digital slides that you really can share and look together at. Another aspect is, of course, the digital teaching. We were used to do digital teaching in pathology already for many years. We had no longer microscope for the students, but we were using a system that Meike Hermsen and Patricia Groenen developed, where students can look at virtual slides, and this is really much easier for the teacher and the student to use than the microscope. And of course, we no longer have all these broken slides after the students have visited. Of course, the teaching of the fellows and trainees is also much easier. You can now discuss cases by phone, looking at the same images and making annotations and follow each other, and it's much more interactive, since it's no longer a one-way education in a way, but also the trainees can now very easily show what they have the questions about, and you can follow the trainees and not only the other way around. And a very nice application of digital slides is in our national training for the colon cancer screening program that was developed by Professor Iris Nachtegaal in our department using digital slides. And she made a training course with an e-learning module and an exam using also digital slides. And that is required for every pathologist in the Netherlands to be able to participate in this screening program. And then finally, computational pathology. These three guys, Francisco Ciompi, Geert Litjens, and Jeroen van der Laak, are in the lead of our computational pathology group and are very hard working to bring artificial intelligence into our daily routine and into our diagnostic as a means to support our work, and also to relieve us from tasks that are not very inspiring. And this is an example of lymph node with metastasis of colon carcinoma, and they did a very nice, trained an algorithm after pathologists had marked several hundreds of cases of lymph nodes with and without micrometastasis. And then they trained the algorithm to detect these automatically. So this is the red areas were considered a potential metastasis by the algorithm, and this gave really very nice results. So probably this is one of the first algorithms that we hope that we will have into our clinical practice, hopefully during this year now. But there are so many other fields that you can imagine that computational can be very helpful, like grading dysplasia in colon polyps, or grading prostate cancer. This was an algorithm that we trained to detect the translocation of a MYC gene in diffuse large B-cell lymphoma on H&E slides. And so there are applications, well, whatever you can imagine. I think this is a very, very interesting development that's going very fast now. But you need your digital slides, and you need a lot of them to be able to train the software. Okay, of course, there are still challenges that we have to overcome. And one of them is the consultation cases, because they are all having their own barcodes and different labels. And now we are developing labels that we can easily stick over these different labels, so that we still have the information that we need, but the barcodes don't interfere with ours. Then there are still some issues with automatic tissue detection, especially if there is not much contrast in the slide, and it will be very helpful if the scanning profiles really can be automatically chosen by the software that are needed for these specific cases. Also, using extended focus will help to overcome problems of focus in, for example, these still somewhat irregular slides with bone in it, or other cutting artifacts. There are still some issues with the detection of microorganisms and mitotic figures, and of course also cytology is not really feasible now for routine diagnostics, not yet. But and another area we didn't expect was the large tissue sections. If you are used under microscope to scan them very fast, if you have a large resection, but it proves to be much more time consuming and to do the same on a digital slide, because you have to zoom in further to see the same details. So that's still work in progress to see how to improve this. Well, what I already discussed is that our storage is still very limited, because these are so huge data to store that we still have not the capacity to keep all the images, what will of course be the goal eventually. And the last challenge is sharing the slides with external pathologists. We have several pathologists that work part-time in our hospital and in some other university hospitals, that's not a problem because they can have their remote access. But if you want to share slides with other pathologists in the Netherlands or worldwide, then we need another infrastructure, and probably a sectorized patient portal will in future be very useful to do this. And then finally, the lessons, or some lessons that we have learned from this project and from during these past years, is that really no single job at the department will be unchanged. Be prepared for that. And therefore, it really helps if there is some urgency, like, for example, we experienced when COVID came. This was really the final push to very fast implement the last parts, and really even the most skeptical pathologists were now happy to be able to work with the digital slides from home. Because and it's really essential to organize sufficient technical support, but also mental support, because you have to realize that sometimes people are working for decades in a specific way, and now everything has changed. So this really requires some mental support, very much depending on the people. And then take small steps with deadlines, and be happy with every little success, and really also celebrate every little success. Because in the end, you will see with all these little steps, you have made a huge progress without really noticing it. But this is essential. And it's not just, even after a year, we are still improving while doing every time. There's so many issues still left, and and once you see the possibilities, you want more. And so improving is the natural way of you will never stop improving once you are going digital. So it's essential to be very flexible, but it's also essential to have a goal in the far distance, and to have a fixed goal, and to steadily work towards this goal. And with this, I would like to thank you for your attention. And well, this is my current workplace, but well, maybe next year or in the future, this will look more like this. Who knows? Thank you. So I hope that everybody can see and hear me okay, because we have a bunch of very nice questions I would like to answer. And well, yeah, it's a little bit awkward that I can't interact with you, but I will have to read from the questions, and I will try to answer this way. So the first question is, we have completely removed the microscope of the pathology rooms. No, as you can probably see in the background, I still have a microscope. We all have still our microscopes, because our external consultation cases are not yet scanned. We are in the process of doing that. And also the cytology is still done by microscope. So we still have the microscope, but I really would like to get rid of them completely. And then there's another, the next question is the quality control step, whether we have a trained histotechnologist or an engineer. Well, we have several histotechnologists who are taking turns during the day in doing the quality control, because it's a very intense work to do, so you can't do this for the whole day. But I think it's one full technologist is needed for our caseload during the day to do this task. And next question is, do we have a backup scanner? And did it happen that the scanner was out of order for a day? Yeah, very good question, because that's really essential. If you want to rely on digital pathology for your diagnostics, you really have to have backups because all kind of smaller and larger problems, either with the technique or with the software, the hardware, everything, there can be problems, and we have 3 P1000 scanners to really have a continuous flow and to make sure that we can work if there are problems. So yeah, one scanner is really, well, a little bit is not enough if you really want to make sure that you can keep on your flow. Then we have the next question is, how many cases do we have per day for quality control? And did we have any problems during the scan with labels? And the caseload, we have about 1,000 to 1,500 cases of internal slides a day. And this is excluding the old cases that we have to that we have to scan to compare the new cases with, and this is also not including the external slides, and they are about 120 to 50 slides every day, I guess. And then the labels, you have to make sure that the barcode reader is not reading the labels of other hospitals if you have external slides. I hear a voice, but I don't, it's very soft. I'm not sure if this was a question. Okay, in the chats, I can't see. So I just go on. So the label scanners, and you have to make sure that the labels are really not sticking out of the glass, because otherwise the glass slides get stuck. So they have to be really adjusted to the glass. And then I think there are more questions. I hear some voices, but I just go on. Sorry. There is another question. Can you explain what is the workflow when the slides reach the scanning step? Do you collect all the slides for one day and scan overnight, or do you load the slides continuously? Oh, we do the last. We try to have a really continuous workflow during the day, and then the final batch is loaded during night. And I think there was another one. Is the quality control done just on poor images, or do you compare against the glass slides to mitigate against tissue not scanned? Yeah, the last is essential. Yeah. So the technicians check the slides and the blocks and the scans to compare that no tissue is missing in the slides, the scanned slides. Okay, I think this was the last question that I got. I hope this was clear and that I answered all your questions. Let's see, there are more coming. Fatty tissue, lipoma, yeah. Does these scanners detect fat tissue? That's a good question. Well, we have several different profiles in case tissue is not properly scanned, and for the fat tissue, indeed, we have a different profile. So if we expect there is fat tissue, then automatically the right profile is chosen, and otherwise we have to rescan it with a different profile, because low contrast can be difficult. That's right. And then, don't you have a very strict data security policy in the Netherlands? Yeah, we have. But probably that refers to the patient data, because the images without identifying aspects can be shared, but as soon as you share anything that is related to data to patients, then we have to do it through a secure network, and we have the pathology image exchange platform designed for that. So we can exchange patient data and images with other hospitals, but it's through a dedicated pathology platform. That's right. And then there's another question. What is the influence on the turnaround time? Was that a major factor hindering a chance or a success criteria? Haha, yeah. Well, in the end, the turnaround time, of course, first you get the idea the scanning process will delay your process. But since we are trying to make a really continuous flow, in fact, I think the turnaround time is even a little bit faster, because otherwise the slides were waiting in the lab until 12 o'clock in the day, and then a technician went around the department to give every pathologist a pile. But now, as soon as it's scanned, you can already have a look at it. So in my experience, it's really faster this way. But you have to really agree on the workflow also with the technicians and with your colleagues who is doing which part of the day load, and until what time in the evening, for example. Then another one, and what is the time for MDs needed for diagnosis? Is it longer than with the slides? And which magnification do you use? Okay, the time for the small biopsies, I think digital pathology is really much faster. But for the larger resections, we have the experience that it takes more time, because you on the microscope you can very fast scan a large resection without zooming in, and our experience is that you have to zoom in more and really more screen the digital slides of large resections. So that is slower, but all small tissue is really very fast and really beats the glass slides. And what we do is we scan all our slides with 40x. And now we are discussing whether maybe for the longer storage to go down to 20x. And I compared several of my bone marrows with 40x and 20x. And to be honest, I don't really see a lot of difference. So probably 20x is for many diagnostic purposes also good enough. But we decided to be safe and to do 40x. And how do you have to adapt the lab workflow and any new personnel? Well, yeah, the lab workflow was we really had to adapt a lot, and it's really through the whole process where we had to adapt aspects. It's like the technicians have to really make sure they cut nice slides. They have the staining has to be perfect quality. They have to put the slides not somewhere in the edge or below the label, but also the let's see, of course the flow, make it a continuous workflow was also different from what we were doing. We were working in batches during the day, so it was really a big difference for also in the lab, the technicians. And then there is the question personnel. I think, well, we have very restricted budget, So we have to do with the same people. And I think in the beginning it was very hard because we still had 2 workflows until everything was digitized. And that was really a lot of work and a little bit too much. But once we have this one workflow of doing everything digitally, I think then you can do it with the same number of people. That's really no problem, because it saves you a lot of time going to the archive to retrace slides that they are sitting somewhere on the desk of a pathologist. So I think we do it with the same personnel, and it works very, very well. And what is the downtime? Do you have to wait when the scanner is down? And what is the impact on quality? What is the percentage of slides rejected? So we experience, especially in the beginning, quite a few problems and a lot of downtime. I think that's with every new system that you implement. And then, of course, there is the planned downtime for the maintenance of the scanners. But I think for the quality, that's not an issue, as long as you have a backup and people are and you really note it very fast, and you can be flexible and change to the other scanner. And the slides that are rejected, I think the percentage, I think, is now, below 2%. Although this is it's a difficult question. We always discuss with our technicians that do the quality check, because even many slides, even if they are out of focus in a little area, you can really very well use them for your diagnostics. So that's no problem. But for technicians, it's quite often they don't know exactly what we are looking at. So they tend to reject, at least in the beginning, they tended to reject a lot of slides because they were afraid that otherwise we couldn't do our job. But now we have this system that we can send a chat in the Sectra image management system very easily to the technician who is doing the quality check. And so they just ask us, please let me know if you want a rescan, and they do it immediately. So it works very well. So I think the number of rescans is really much lower than in the beginning now, because we have more experience that you can really work with a lot of the slides, even if a little part is out of focus. That's really no problem. And then another question, can you really rely on the software detection of certain type of cells? And I think the software detection, you mean the algorithm, the artificial intelligence? Well, this is still research that we really hope to implement during this year, to start with simple, straightforward questions like detection of carcinoma metastasis. So it's really it helps the pathologist, but it's not. I don't think we are by far there that you can ask the artificial intelligence to make a diagnosis. And I am not sure whether this will be, well, maybe in some years, but not now. It's really it supports our work, and it takes some tedious tasks out of our hands, and it's not a replacement of a pathologist. I think the artificial intelligence. Okay, I think this is the last question. And I hope I answered your questions, and I wish you a very nice day. Bye-bye.
The next speaker is Zita Bratu. Our product development manager will speak about the new pathology case management solution. Zita, it's your turn.
Welcome everyone. My name is Zita Bratu. I'm working for 3D Histech of 7 years. I'm a product development manager and responsible for developing of laboratory and pathology information system, slide storage application, and slide format conversion. I would like to demonstrate a new pathology case management solution. What is the pathology workflow? Why it is important? The early diagnosis is critical for an effective treatment and thus can result in a higher probability of survival and a less expensive treatment. Diagnosing and treating cancer is complex. People often need the experience and skill of the several different medical professionals to treat cancer. The various medical professionals involved in cancer care make up the oncology team. The participants of the oncology team are medical oncologists, physicians, diagnostic radiologists, pathologists, rehabilitation therapists, radiation oncology specialists, and nurses. The pathological workflow has a major role in making an accurate diagnosis and determining treatment. The pathologist determines the exact type of the tumor. If we know the type of the tumor, the right diagnosis can be determined, meaning the therapy could start sooner and thus increase the chances of healing. It is a general objective in the digital pathology industry to speed up the pathology workflow for faster and more reliable results. Why we need to improve the pathology workflow? The number of cancer cases is on the rise worldwide. According to official data, the cancer is second leading cause of the deaths globally. There were 18.1 million cases and 19.6 million cancer-related deaths in 2018. 1 in 5 men and 1 in 6 women worldwide develop cancer during their lifetime. The number of new cancer cases is expected to increase by about 62% over the next 2 decades. Why is a digital laboratory information system beneficial? The laboratory information system is a sample tracking system, what makes possible to keep a continuous record of the laboratory workflow and to check the stages of the sample processing at the given time. From the moment the sample arrives to the pathology laboratory, every sample-related data is registered and every workflow step is traceable with barcodes. Helps to reduce the mix-ups, the pathological samples, paraffin blocks or sections. Digitizing the workflow makes the process more efficient and therefore faster. Collecting a request, a slide, and a report takes a lot of time in regular pathology. In a digital workflow, these components are automatically linked together. Laboratory steps can be tracked. This is very important when the pathological processing of the sample becomes urgent. Laboratory and pathology information system allows a detailed event logging, what I like to call who, when, where, and what. As a result, the diagnostic process becomes more transparent. Digital slides can be stored forever. With the conventional techniques, the staining is lost over time, making the slides useless to keep. Not to mention that you have to pay attention not to break the glass slide accidentally. Thanks to the slide storage server application, the access to the digital slides is faster. The pathologist needs a lot of information to make an accurate diagnosis and create the pathological final report. It is hard to get a good overview of case because the information is distributed in separate systems. You have to log into multiple systems. These separate systems might not be synchronized. The pathologist will not be able to make the diagnosis without the patient's data or the patient's further information and previous final reports. This information will be found in the hospital information system. The laboratory information system, where the pathological sample processing and sectioning related information is found, such as macroscopic images and description, number of blocks, sections, and staining types. Digital slides are accessible from the slide storage application. In many cases, radiographic images also help to make the diagnosis. The radiographic images are available from the PACS system. Pathologists require an integrated environment to find all information on the same place. Why is a pathology information system important for pathology laboratory? Pathologists get a better overview of their work. In a digital work list, they can see exactly what tissue section to review, what have been reviewed already, and what to prioritize. It's also possible to see exactly how many tissue sections and stainings have been made per examination. All information related with patient, macro images, tissue sections, stainings, and reports are in one place. You can no longer accidentally mix up a slides or a report, as the images automatically link together to correct report. Thanks to the barcode-based tracking, the tracking reduces the risk of the misidentification. Even if multiple additional stainings are requested, they are automatically linked to the correct case. Furthermore, the entire slide can be viewed on the display, and you can zoom in to view the different areas. With the microscope, it is impossible to see the whole tissue at once, even the lowest magnification. This can cause you to miss something. While with a digital solution where you can easily keep track of which images or areas have been viewed, and the digital slides can be annotated. Digital images visible side by side in the viewer. This makes it easier to compare multiple stainings of the case. Measuring is much more accurate on digital images than only physical slides, and can also be annotated much more extensively and easily. If laboratories work digitally, exchanging slides between the labs, for example, for difficult cases, second opinion or consultation is much easier. The pathology images can easily be viewed together with the macroscopic images, previous report of the patient, other examination results, or even radiology images, which improves the diagnostics. The digital pathology enables pathologists to work from anywhere at any time. Environment friendly, because working digital saves a lot of paper. Because we are living the extraordinary times, and digital pathology could be part of the solution. 3D HISTEC can cover a pathological workflow with a new diagnostic package. The contents of the diagnostic package includes an integrated software environment, the pathology management system, and the panoramic pathology diagnostic scanners. With the coordinated collaboration with pathology management system and panoramic pathology diagnostic scanners, we can provide a reliable, fast system for the pathology laboratories. The part of the pathology information system are case manager, which summarize all necessary information for the pathologist to make a proper diagnosis. The slide storage DX, which is a slide storage server application, the clinical viewer, which is a digital microscope application, and the diagnostic application, which is an image analysis software for diagnostic. In case of the pathology information system, the slide storage DX is in the background, only available for the administrator user, and only function as a storage for digital slides. The diagnostic package also includes the scanner hardware and the related scanner software. The scanner control software is a simple, easy to use software with only the necessary configuration options. The central log service application is the event logging system, what collects the case manager and panoramic diagnostic scanner software logs. This information can be used for analytical purposes to detect problems, errors, or generating historical and aggregated reports and system activities. The case manager can provide great help to get access to all necessary information. It is a web-based application for the pathologist. It offers an easy-to-use case and patient management system, starting from the digitalization through the pathologist assignment and primary inspection to diagnosis. The software can collect the physician's cases and display the status of each case. The software can collect the pathologist cases and display the patient's history and the sample information and stages of the laboratory workflow. It also to summarize the clinical history, macroscopic description, microscopic description, digital slides, special examination orders, and stated diagnosis. In addition, The software can handle case priority, case forwarding, attachments, for example, macroscopic images, snapshots, documents, and audio files, quantification measurement, and event logging. Case Manager has a complex final reporting module with optional use of diagnosis codes, for example, SNOMED or ICD, and multiple digital signatures. When we design the user interface, we consider the simple operation, a logical structured user interface that guides the user through the reporting workflow. Case Manager is a user-friendly, customizable, simple, manageable, all-in-one pathology information system. Case Manager has an integrated viewer application. Now, there is a new direct communication between the Case Manager and viewer application. It means if the user opens the digital slides from Case Manager, the viewer automatically opens as a clinical viewer. The clinical viewer is able to display the patient data, for example, patient name and birth date of the patient, and staining information, thereby facilitating accurate case and patient identification, avoid the case confusion. Thanks to this, the slide opening is even faster. The software offers the following features: zooming of the digital slides, display preview and label area images, and helps to navigate on digital slides with overview of the tracking history. If we would like to display more slides of the case in the viewer, the multiple view function is suited for it. A maximum of 9 slides of the single case with different stainings can be viewed simultaneously on the main screen. Clinical Viewer offers a number of measurement applications, for example, length measurement tool and a marker counter, which is a module for counting stained cells, immune-positive cell structure, or count mitosis in the tissue. Furthermore, a quantification module is integrated with Case Manager. Case Manager has an integrated quantification software. The diagnostic application is a fast field of view-based automatic image analysis application, but is only for diagnostic use. The pathologist can select from the following analysis measurement: estrogen, HER2, Ki67, and progesterone. When the measurement is complete, the pathologist can send the measurement results to the Case Manager. In addition, a masked snapshot, image, and diagram can be sent to the Case Manager. The Case Manager can display the measurement results with masked snapshot and diagram on the quantification part of the interface. Every measurement result what is sent to the Case Manager will be displayed in the table at the proper case. The pathologist can attach the measurement results with the masked snapshot and diagram to the final report. The Diagnostic One Center is a decision support tool. It is very important that the digitalization support the pathologist assessment, but it does not replace it. At the end of the reporting workflow, the pathologist can generate the final report of the case. The parts of the final report are customizable. It can contain the patient and case information, clinical history, and parts of the report, for example, macroscopic images, macroscopic description, microscopic description, special examination results. The content of the final report can still be the added diagnosis scores, signatures, selected macroscopic images, snapshot of the digital slides, measurement results, and associated images. Currently, consultation can happen with traditional microscope or on digital slides with the viewer application. For determining the diagnosis or creating second opinion, beside the digital slide, other case-related information is needed. Information like patient's previous examination results, gender, date of birth, and macroscopic images. Because of this, in the future, the Case Manager will have a teleconsultation function what is capable for providing this information for a consultant. During the online consultation, real or anonymized patient data, and other case-related information is provided for pathologists. For creating second opinion, we can also provide an offline case sharing functionality. Using the internal and external integration, Case Manager collects all the necessary information to one user interface for the pathologist. The internal information protocol between the 3D His-Tech systems provides the quick and uninterrupted operation of the diagnostic system. For the optimal workflow, Case Manager needs integration with laboratory information system in order to receive the necessary case and patient information. The general integration module of the Case Manager can send or receive HR7 messages are embedded in XML files through the secure HTTP. The images in HR7 messages are in JPEG-based 64 encoding. HR7 is the first standard protocol for the communication between electronic health record components. The basic integration workflow is when a new case is created in the laboratory information system. It sends the case and patient data to Case Manager, which opens the same case in its database. The laboratory information system can send the additional information to Case Manager anytime to update the case before it's closed. When a case is closed in Case Manager, it automatically sends a final report to laboratory information system, which includes the texture and image data, selected snapshots and macro images, and optimal attachments. The pathologist can manually push this update from Case Manager to the laboratory information system anytime, even if the case is still in progress. Case Manager handles display and stores patient data, so it was important to prepare the Case Manager database to match the security regulations. Between the client application and the Case Manager server, the communication is through secure HTTP. Case Manager has an advanced user and permission management function. It supports 4 user types. Each feature is limited by user type. Because of the Case Manager's database, store patient and user personal data. These data are encrypted based on the RFC 2800-19-8. Therefore, in unlikely event of the database, the attackers won't be able to easily extract sensitive data from our database. The system is protected from brute force attack. After 3 unsuccessful logins, the user will be banned from the system. We recommend to use the internal network for the panoramic diagnostic system. The central log service application can collect the logs of the Case Manager and panoramic diagnostic scanner software. If an error occurs with the system, the diagnostic scanners and Case Manager will automatically send the errors message to this application. Thereby, the 3D His-Tech support is able to provide the faster help for user. Currently, it is possible to archive case manually or automatically. The list of the archived case is separated in a way that it helps to reduce the interrupt during the daily work. In the future, the PACS system will be responsible for archiving the digital slides. The PACS is a short for Picture Archiving and Communication System. What is an image storing and distributing system with the DICOM formats and protocols. During the case archive process, the slides are moved from the Case Manager's slide storage to the PACS system. With the help of the continuous communication with Case Manager and PACS system, the slides of an archived case can be opened directly from the PACS, or it can be downloaded to the proper case. For moving the digital slides to PACS system, it is necessary to provide an automatic DICOM conversion. During the conversion, the patient data from Case Manager is introduced to the slides. The great advantage of 3D His-Tech, besides providing a pathological information system, it can also provide a laboratory information system for the pathological laboratories. Thanks to this, It covers the entire pathological workflow from the accessioning of the pathological sample through the digitalization of the slides to the diagnosis and final reporting. The new track and sign interface is similar to Case Manager's current design. During the planning, we consider the personal patient data protection, the simple and manageable user interface and functions. Track and sign is a barcode-based sample tracking system which provides full support for a pathology workflow. Tracking of the general pathological workflow steps are provided by track and sign. For example, case registration, gross dissection, sectioning, special examination processing, and case handover to the pathologist. Further, we have expanded the tracked laboratory workflow steps, and these extra workflow steps are optional and customizable for the pathology laboratory. Track and sign can track tissue processing steps are after the gross examination step, fixation, embedding, and after the sectioning, the staining. Track and sign allows to track the content of the different machines, for example, tissue processor, embedding station, autostainer. Becomes clear what blocks and sections were placed in which machine and who started the process. The pathologist is able to send special examination requests from Case Manager to track and sign, and the pathologist can track the status of the request. Track and sign can be provided to compatibility with various external hardware devices or systems. For example, staining machines, gross dissection workstation, macro cameras for creating the macro images, different printers, voice recording, or speech recognition system. Why 3D stack is better than competitors? Because because we cover the whole pathological workflow with our diagnostic package and laboratory information system. Thank you for attention. Welcome everyone again. Let's see the questions. The first question, how are the reports generated? For a template, can these report structure be modified according to the specialist or adapted to the MD? When the doctor adds a report to the case, the doctor can choose the report type and the report type can be customized on the settings panel. Thanks the questions, and thank you very much for joining with us today. Have a nice day. I hope to see you in person soon. Bye.
Now we are going to France, and we have a detailed presentation from Professor Catherine Guettier, Professor of Pathology, and Dr. Clovis Adam, Senior Pathologist from the Bicêtre University Hospital. They will speak about the challenges and development of their academic department of pathology. Please give your presentation.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Clovis and I have long been convinced that the future of pathology can only be digital, so we are happy to show you the contribution of digital pathology in the clinical workflow of our multi-site department of pathology. Our department is a French academic department of pathology associated with Paris-Saclay University. The department is working for 3 different hospitals within Assistance Publique Hôpitaux de Paris, Hôpital Bicêtre, Hôpital Paul Brousse, and Hôpital Antoine Béclair, with a shared technical platform based at Bicêtre Hospital in a new building. The department receives around 30,000 cases per year with a diversified recruitment, including pediatric pathology and neuropathology. And the laboratory produces a mean number of 1,100 slides per day. The use of digital pathology is not really new in our department. We bought our first scanners in 2007 for teaching with academic funding. Telepathology for intraoperative frozen sections have been used in 2013 for Paul Brousse Hospital and since 2018 for Antoine Béclair Hospital. I was the coordinator of the pilot regional telepathology platform in Ile-de-France from 2014 to 2016. We bought a new bright field and fluorescence scanner, the P250, in 2016 for research, and began working on algorithm for diagnosis assistance in 2017. At this point, we decided to jump ahead towards full digital pathology in 2018 when the pathology lab of Béclair joined us in the new building. A few words about the functional organizations of the department. The technical platform and the medical staff are located in Bicêtre Hospital. In Paul Brousse and Antoine Béclair Hospitals, there is only one technician present on site in charge of reception, registration, grossing of fresh specimens, biobanking, intraoperative frozen sections by telepathology, and cutting specimens for molecular pathology. Imaging system of the department include different acquisition devices for digital images, 3 macroscopic camera, one in each site, 2 one-slide scanner desk 2 for frozen sections, 2 P250 bright and fluorescent slide scanners, and 1 P1000 bright field scanner. All images converge to a single server with a capacity of 100 terabytes located in Bicêtre Hospital. Thus, the department has to manage together multi-source and multi-format images, gross images, frozen section digital slides, stain and immunostain digital slides, which are managed through our IMS Scalopix connected with our LIS Daedalus. Immunofluorescence and in situ hybridization digital slides are managed independently through Case Viewer and visualized with Case Center. The challenge we had to meet in this context of reorganization and rapid evolution of pathology were numerous and were largely overcome thanks to the parallel implementation of digital pathology. To maintain intraoperative consultations on the secondary site, to correlate growth and histopathological images, as well as histopathological and immunostain images, to develop molecular pathology, to facilitate internal and external second opinions for difficult cases, to improve discussion with physicians of the 3 hospitals by sharing digital slides, and to develop artificial intelligence research on digital slides. All of this must be done while maintaining an acceptable time frame for the availability of cases despite the additional digitization step. The first challenge was to maintain intraoperative consultations for the 2 secondary sites while optimizing medical time. Technicians are alone on the secondary sites without pathologists, and this has been feasible thanks to digital telepathology with an adequate diagnosis accuracy rate, more than 92%, but a slightly longer turnaround time, plus 7 minutes per slide, as reported in this article we published last year. In the same line, another challenge has taken on great importance with the regrouping of pathology structures and even more in this period of COVID pandemics is the dematerialization of pathology. Clovis tested it last winter because of a skiing accident, as you can see. Thanks to digital pathology, he was able to work at home instead of being off 1 month and a half. This needed, of course, high-tech installation at home. Let's move back to regular everyday practice. The IMS, whatever it is, provide to each pathologist a global view of daily work via the personalized working list, including information about the degree of emergency of the case through a small red or orange flag. While selecting a case, the pathologist can see the virtual tray, including the JPEG images and digital slides of the case. As a matter of joke, I would say never this again. A notable improvement of daily work related to digital pathology is the easy correlations between macroscopic and microscopic images. The identification of histological sample on the macroscopic pictures is really helpful for the analysis of complex surgical specimens, such as, for example, cephalic duodeno-pancreatectomy specimens. Another improvement of daily practice due to digital pathology, the analysis of immunostaining, which is considerably facilitated since the digital pathology makes it possible to compare on the same screen the H&E section and section from the same block immunostained with different antibodies. Another improvement from digital pathology is the capacity to precisely measure tumor size or margin width. For example, this picture on the left use precise measurement of the margin width for a liver tumor on a resection specimen, and on this picture, which represents a vulvar tumor, the viewer tools provide highly precise measures both of the tumor and of the longitudinal margins. For accessory salivary gland biopsies, the grade of chronic salivaritis lesions is determined by the number of lymphoid foci per 4 millimeter square. Accurate measurement of the glandular parenchyma area is therefore essential for diagnosis and can be easily and precisely evaluated on digital slides. Digital pathology also offers the possibility to annotate slides for teaching or for sharing. It allows also to count different objects on the slides. For example, on this picture, portal tracks on a surgical liver biopsy. Even without the help of quantification algorithm, digital pathology allows to perform mitotic count within the required area of 2 millimeter square, such as, for example, in neuroendocrine tumors, and Z-stack scanning and extended focus, here with a red border, bring a considerable improvement in mitotic counting. Analysis of in situ hybridization slides under UV microscope is a long and tedious task. Analysis on digital slides enable faster and more precise quantification of fluorescent signals. The task is even easier when using an algorithm of nuclear classification like this proposed by 3D-HISTECH. Indeed, we have experienced in our daily work that digital pathology offers more precision for analysis of all type slides while saving medical time. But another essential contribution of digital pathology is the ease and speed of case sharing between pathologists. It can be an internal sharing within the department through the IMS functionalities. For example, this icon here, indicated by a blue arrow, allows to share cases with another pathologist of the department without moving from your room. It can be also a request for a second opinion from an expert pathologist at the national or international level. In France, for example, SoSlide is a national platform for second opinion in pathology.
Digital pathology is a wonderful tool for sharing. Here are two examples of digital slide sharing. The first example is with my colleague, Dr. Labéry. Last year, before the COVID-19 crisis, she went to Cambridge, following her husband for a one-year research project. Thanks to the case center, she was able to continue to read digital slides of skin biopsy produced in Bicêtre Hospital, and she validated diagnosis during video conference with me. The second example is the French National Reference Center for Rare Peripheral Neuropathies. There are two sites for this center, one in Bicêtre, the other in Limoges, 344 kilometers away. Despite the distance, we have organized a joint periodic multidisciplinary consultation through telepathology and web conference with Zoom.
The facility to share digital slides also allows to improve clinical pathological discussion with physicians in multidisciplinary meetings. The picture shows the weekly nephropathology meeting that takes place every Friday morning in our department. B7 nephrologists are on site, but nephrologists from another Assistance Publique Hôpitaux de Paris Hospital, Ambroise Paré Hospital, participate via a web conference and can look at the biopsies commented by our pathologist here. Because of these different advantages, the adoption rate of digital pathology after 16 months of full digitization of the slides in our department is high, as you can see on the slide. Only one full-time practitioner remains resolutely opposed to digital pathology. His main concern is the delay in the availability of digital slides compared to glass slides.
However, we can only take full advantage of these benefits if these essential prerequisites are met. High-quality glass slides, optimized digitization flow to reduce the delay of availability of digital slides for the pathologist, high quality of digital slide without blurring and missing areas, completeness of the digital tray, and easy access to the request form for the pathologist. The digitization imposes an irreproachable technical quality of the glass slides, quality and layout of the cut section, reproducibility of histological stain, use of cover slip rather than film, homogeneous distribution of mounting medium, drying slides flat. Clearly, the transition to digital pathology has led us to improve our pre-analytic. The digitization represents an extra step compared with the traditional workflow. It affects the entire workflow of the laboratory. This figure shows the number of slides digitized daily on the P1000 in blue and the P250 in red. The left figure shows the number of digitized slides per hour during the busiest day of June, July, and August 2019. June is a good example, but August demonstrates an irregular histogram exceeding working hours due to a lack of technical staff. The daily sequence of digitization is first immunostain slides from the night run, then urgent biopsies, regular biopsies, priority surgical specimens, and second immunostain slide from the morning run, urgent biopsy of the days, and regular surgical specimen. Immunofluorescence slides are scanned over the night. We try to smooth as far as possible the slide production over the day to obtain the best productivity from the scanners. A good coordination between the staining bench and the digitization is essential. In the end, the time required to obtain the digitization of a specimen varies from less than 10 minutes for biopsies to nearly 6 hours for certain surgical specimens, depending on the order of digitization and the number of slides. Digital pathology is expected to undergo considerable developments in the coming years. There are challenges still to be met. Increased implementation of AI for biomarker quantification, which is of paramount importance in oncology. Currently, few quantification algorithms are commercially available, and the pathologists are expecting a larger offer. These algorithms are not yet used in our lab. The most innovative aspect of digital pathology is that it paves the way for artificial intelligence to pathology. Clearly, The adoption of digital pathology by the pathologist of the team has been enhanced through different projects of developing diagnostic aid algorithm. Beyond the diagnostic assistance, AI applied to digital slide will also provide prognostic and diagnostic information not visible for the human eye from basic H&E sections. So we are currently developing new tools that will help us in the future to accelerate and improve our diagnosis. Here are a few examples of ongoing AI projects. In gynecological pathology, for example, we have participated in data challenge on uterine cervical lesion organized last year by the National Health Data Hub. For this challenge, we scanned more than 1,700 slides and annotated many of them. We are also collaborating with Prima company for the automatic detection of breast cancer lesion. In the prostate cancer pathology, we are participating in the clinical validation of context vision algorithm for screening of prostate cancer lesions. Automatized quantification of intraepidermal small nerve fiber will be the last example of AI implementation. Skin biopsy helps to diagnose peripheral neuropathies by quantifying intraepidermal nerve fibers. But the reading takes a long time for the pathologist, approximately 1 hour per patient. An automated analysis of skin biopsy, 3D immunofluorescent image using AI would allow a much faster diagnosis with a reading time of less than 5 minutes and much shorter results delivery times compatible with the rapid handling of the patients. We have developed a proof of concept with an area under curve of 0.95. With this, in June 2020, Quantmetry won an Health Data Hub French BPI call for tenders entitled AR for Improved Health System Experience. We are now developing a software solution to enable as many people as possible to benefit from this exam. We hope to begin clinical validation this autumn on a cohort of patients with small fiber neuropathy.
So to conclude, digital pathology already brings many advantages in terms of diagnosis accuracy and medical time saving in the clinical workflow of a pathology department, but future developments through AI represent a real paradigm shift for pathology. So to finish, we would like to thank all the members of the department and also to thank the company who have brought us this breaking technology of digital slide. Thank you for your attention. Varions. Je garde mon masque.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you for the questions. The first one is what additional therapeutic effect can be of the result of an AI in making an even more accurate diagnosis? In what cases can the result of AI most relevant? Probably, I think that quantifications of some biomarkers like PD-L1 could help to make better management for the patients, as well as the quantifications of immune cells within tumor. These are probably examples, the most relevant examples to illustrate the help from AI algorithm. So what could be achieved by AI in the next 2 years? Maybe the screening of tumoral foci in prostate biopsies or in breast biopsies. I think we are near to obtain results and clinical applications in this for these two examples. Maybe Clovis, you have somewhat to add to my answer.
Yes, for prostate biopsy, as we show it in the presentation, we are now in clinical validation, and about additional therapeutic effect can be of the result of AI. I believe that a better measure will be useful for a better management of the patient.
What means fully digital pathology? From my own, I think it means that all the slides production of the laboratory are digitized, and maybe that more than 80% of the pathologists read their cases only on digital slides. And in the future, of course, it will include the use of AI algorithms. But for the moment, I mean all the slide productions being digitalized.
How could you use digital pathology for home working in 2020? It does work. You can write report, you can read slide, but you have to be in contact with the lab. You have to have someone in the lab that can help you if there is a problem on digitization or in some additional techniques and things like that. So it works, but you are not alone. You need to have a technician in the lab to help you if you have a problem to work.
Yes, because it is a somewhat specific process to be sure that all the cases are complete, that all the slides are correctly digitized for the home worker. But it is, I don't know what happens in the other countries, but in France it is not a regular way of functioning for the French pathologists. This is only exception cases, for example, a skin accident. But we are working to be able to perform telepathology, telepathology or telework for pathologists, as a lot of young female pathologists asking for that, to be able to stay at home when they have some problem with their children, for example.
Okay.
One more. Yes. Yes, we use digital pathology routinely for frozen sections coming from the two other hospitals, Paul Brousse and Béla. But in the main site, we perform, I would say, conventional frozen sections with glass slides. But it is really easy to read digital frozen sections, and our results show there is the same diagnosis accuracy on digital frozen sections compared to conventional frozen section. It was depending of the pathologist. Some of them, and especially the youngest one, and for example the residents, get used very rapidly to digital pathology without problem. I am older than the residents, as you can see, and for me it was more difficult. It was a relatively long way to get used to digital pathology, but nowadays I perform a complete transition, and I think I am able to see more details on digital slides than on microscope than on my microscope. So it could be a relatively long way, but I think that when you have made the transition, it becomes so easy and so convenient to work on digital slides that you don't want to go back to the microscope. Is it your opinion? Clovis was very quick to make the transition.
Yes, you have a large view of the specimen, and you don't see the samples the same way. You have this huge view of the sample.
And also for the implementation of digital pathology within the lab, we have chosen to make a smooth transition. That means that for a while, pathologists had both glass slides and digital slides, and probably this is helpful because each pathologist were able to validate the analysis of digital slide when comparing to the glass slides, and I think it was a good solution to have a smooth and easy transition.
Can you please elaborate on the challenge
l'optimisation du flow. About the challenges and the prerequisite, I think we really had to make better every step of the pre-analytic workflow. We change the stains, we change the medium, the mounting medium. We change we adapt the drying times for the slides. We have even a homemade dryer for the slides with special temperature and so on. So it is a long way, and we are discussing. We have a weekly meeting for this to finely tune every step of the pre-analytic workflow. The digitization flow, maybe Clovis is more aware. We try to use every hour, night and day, to digitize the slides, and because really our aim was to shorten the delay between the beginning of the technique and the availability of the digital slides for the medical for the pathologist. Some pathologists in the lab are not very happy when they receive digital slide of biopsies with 12 hours late. So we try really to use every hour of the day and every hour of the night, thanks to the P1000, to be able to get the cases available as soon as possible. Maybe you have some comments?
Yes, we have to sort the specimens between emergency and regular specimen, and you have to put the emergency before the regular specimen as possible.
And also surgical specimens are for most of them digitized during the night, as well as immunofluorescence slides. It's difficult orchestrations and very finely tuned orchestrations to avoid any waste of time.
You should. Attendez, je sais plus où j'en suis.
The home pathology workplace. Did you evaluate special tools, medical? Medical microscopes. No, like
for home working, we have to use a screen, a very
quality screen,
a very high quality screen, because you cannot watch a digital slide without a high quality. For other tools, it didn't work because of the VPN. We have some security constraints, so we cannot use everything. So it was only my mouse to see the slide. And yes, I was only on a chair. I was moving sometime because of my leg. It did work.
But
the good things in home working is that there is nobody that will perturbate, will disturb you. There is no disturbation, and you can work fully on your case without have to answer any other question, and it's something very, very interesting.
But I think there is still a lot of work to make the system really fluid. It was just, I will say, a trial due to the circumstances and the skiing accident of Clovis, but we have to work about this because other pathologists in the lab are asking for that.
So we can say goodbye.
Okay, so goodbye to everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
And thank you.
Thank you.
And now we have just arrived to our last topic and presentation. Viktor Jónás, the Product Development Manager of 3D Histech, is an expert of image analysis, and he will share with you the latest development. Over to you.
Hello and welcome everyone to our Virtual Symposium. I will talk about the new generation of diagnostic image analysis applications, but first let me introduce myself in a few words. I am working for 3D Histech for 15 years now, up to 1.5 years ago as a developer for image analysis and scanner control software solutions. Since then, I'm product development manager for image analysis. First, in a few words, I would like to pass through the solution we are introducing right now, the DX infrastructure. As you might already know, we have an LIS pathology information system. We have DX scanners, a storage solution to store our digitalized slides. We have a visual examination or digital microscope solution called Case Viewer. We have the image analysis modules integrated into this viewer. This is what I will talk about more today. And we have a case management and report generation tool that serves as the image, the information hub of this system. The features, as you might imagine, are provided as a cooperation of a good few interacting software elements, and from the sample entering the lab to the generation of the report. From a single supplier, you are guaranteed to get a functional, fully logically built set of features for a seamless experience. First, we focused in image analysis of the breast panel, which is a set of breast tissue slides stained for cancer diagnosis. Why is breast panel important, you might ask? For that, I created this slide and the next one. Although it is a bit earlier chart from 2018, it is visible that these two statements, that most common cancer in women is breast cancer, and the second most common cancer in women causing mortality is also this type, is still standing today. This paints a grim picture, but the actual state is somewhat better. Let's look at the next slide. As you can see on the charts, the decline in mortality is quite steady since the 1990s, and this shows the importance of screening programs. The left two charts from UK and the US. The middle chart or informational table is from China, and the right side there is a US state poster to popularize screening. On the charts it is visible that since the introduction of these screening programs, the mortality rate is steadily decreasing, and Of course, the ever-evolving treatments that are also playing into this decrease, but without the early detection of these cases, it would not be possible. And to maintain these levels of lower mortality rates, these screening programs have to be maintained also, and making them more affordable, more efficient tools are needed, and that is where our solutions come into play. That is why we first focused on the analysis of the breast panel samples. What modules are available? We have multiple IVD-approved solutions for breast tissue. Breast panel consists of a few samples prepared for different staining, with different staining methods. We have IVD-approved analysis solutions for estrogen receptor, progesterone receptor, HER2, and the pending approval for Ki67 stainings. Of course, we are providing with these analyses the most known and commonly used scores and index values. And of course, there are more solutions are coming, both breast tissue related and others. In the end, I will talk about some research use only applications that are also included in this package. First, a few words about our estrogen and progesterone receptor segmentation and measurement solutions. On the right, it is visible the case viewer where the image analysis modules are accessible on the top ribbon. These estrogen and progesterone segmentations are nuclear measurements, so the segmentations are trying to detect and measure nuclei. For this, we are using this ORAD scoring scheme, which is emphasized on the bottom of the measurement card on the right, but other scores are visible above it, like intensity and proportion scores that contribute to this score, and also age score and positivity index for other uses. These statistics are, of course, derived from the analyzed region and based on cell level measurements. These scoring clusters are adjustable for the lab processes. That is why settings mode is introduced into our system, and the top left image shows how this classification can be fine-tuned. Our second solution is HER2, which we would discuss. This is a membrane staining, so it is designed to measure the strength and homogeneity of the membranes. Here, a more simple scoring scheme is used, which is called field score. And the settings panel is also visible on the top left. Here it has two parameters, one for membrane strength and the other is for homogeneity. Our Ki67 solution is visible on this slide. It is again a nuclear measurement. We are providing these ORAD scoring scheme for this, but I think the positivity index is the most important in this regard. This is different in the ER and PR solutions with the small exception that a more robust segmentation is designed and used for these samples regarding dye precipitation. When creating this diagnostic image analysis suite, we try to create the simplest, more straightforward workflow possible, and we achieved it in 3 simple steps. First is to define the region of interest to analyze. The second is to run this analysis, and third is to send its results to case manager to the case. The first step is selecting the region to analyze. It can be done in 3 types of approaches. The first one is the whole visible area on the canvas of the case viewer can be analyzed. A second solution is a microscope with a 20x or 40x objective has an approximately similar sized region visibility that we are providing here. So these are predefined areas that can be analyzed. And also it is possible to use manually placed annotations from the case viewer to be analyzed. Here the multiple selection is also an option. The Analyze button starts the analysis, and hovering the mouse pointer over it shows these blue areas, which represent the area to be analyzed. Starting the analysis is, as I said, a press of a button. This time a progress bar and an abort option appears. And when the progress bar reaches 100%, the analysis results will be displayed. The quantification window will display the measurement results. The viewer is navigated to the analyzed area, and it is zoomed to fit the image, and the preview mask is turned on for you to be visible. And the third step is the submission of the results. When these results are displayed, there are a few options that can be selected. There is a table of measurements, which contains all the measurements we are creating. This is mandatorily sent to the case manager. But above that, it is possible to select the snapshot of the sample area, snapshot of the sample area with measurement overlay, the snapshot of the measurement card displayed here, and the snapshot of a pie chart containing the score population proportions. These can be later integrated into the report, as shown in this slide. On the middle area, there is a quantification tab, and it contains all the measurements sent to a case. It is stored in this form, so a name, a value, and the unit column is displayed. All the other attachments are listed under this table. And by selecting the top right checkbox here, the results will be integrated into the diagnostic report for the current case. Now talk about some benefits and motivations behind these features. So first, there is a point of flexibility. Although the system is usable in 6 simple steps, but there are a set of options to customize the workflow. The regions to analyze can be pre-selected in case viewer and analyzed in one go, or can be defined as segmented sequentially, reviewed and committed. Leafing through the regions can be done with the buttons, with the double arrowheads pointing up and down, and the currently shown can be deleted by the paper bin button. The sum button combines the measurements as if all the regions were a connected area and analyzed in one step. The overlay mask generated can be freely zoomed for examination. Also, the customization of the report is an important point of view. By selecting the regularly used attachment types, it is possible to simplify the workflow. The visual overlay is configurable separately for the workflow and the attachments, so they are visible sufficiently in both situations. These choices are saved to be available on next use. Another point of view is the question of control. We are trying to leave the power to intervene in the hands of the expert. Some diagnostic protocols like cell counting are area-based. Our solution takes this into consideration with the 20x and 40x predefined area definition, because laboratory protocols containing counting thresholds and recommendations are based on this kind of size of fields. So this way, the traditional way of working of a laboratory and the digitized way can be close to each other. The number of pathologists is also decreasing per capita all over the world, so it is important to enable them to use their time more efficiently. So this makes speed one of our most important features of this diagnostic image analysis toolset. And we managed to create a solution where a 20x region of interest can be analyzed in a few seconds.
Direct optical feedback is also an important aspect. It introduces a quality checkpoint or a quality loop into the everyday workflow by simply looking at the segmentation results as a sanity check to reassure the quality of the results. And it is done through these previews I described earlier. Image analysis selection is also automatized somewhat. There is staining information present in the LIS, or in our case, it is transferred through Case Manager to the image analysis modules. And to these stainings, different image analysis modules can be assigned. And these settings are also remembered. So on next using a similarly stained slide, we'll automatically have the option to be analyzed with the same image analysis module is offered. So by this, we could eliminate a repetitive work step. But here is also the option to override with one click, this option. Another important aspect is laboratory standardization. You can simply forget complicated UI when analyzing the same type of samples one after another, day after day. Because standardization is usually done by reducing subjectivity, the introduction of the 20x and 40x objective side visible area is enhancing standardization also. As I said, these protocolar and regulational thresholds and recommendations can be kept in place. These scores and index values are based on cellular level measurements, and this mean an objective tool to support diagnosis. This is an important standardization step also. And by using the same algorithm with the same parameters and on the same type of samples, and these samples this way receive the same treatment, it's also a factor or a step towards standardization. We offer the IVD approved presets. These are marked with IVD labels on the top right corner to achieve this goal. But we know that biology is diverse and every lab is a bit different. So that is why we provide the option to alter these settings and save them with an approved label. This will replace the IVD labeled one in the UI. This is probably best done after conducting a lab level study to ensure precision and reliability. And the factory presets are protected against accidental deletion. So this means that these approved scenarios are only replacing their place and they are not deleted. By deleting the approved solution, the IVD approved one will pop back into its place on the UI. These features establish a standard approach to take for the everyday workflow. Another point of view is adaptability. This is why we created the settings mode. Here there is a third option above IVD and approved labels, the custom scenarios option. Previous customers of us might find this already known because the research type of UI is hidden under this settings part. Here, for research use only, it is possible to create completely new image analysis solutions and change any arbitrary parameter. These custom scenarios can be also saved, and they will be placed in the list of selectable scenarios in the bottom. This enables clinicians to examine special cases they encounter, interesting phenomena that raise their curiosity. This establishes a connection between diagnostic and research, and this is why it is important to maintain. In settings mode, it is also possible to reach other image analysis modules, which are for research use only, like machine learning based tissue segmentation that can enhance the segmentation results further. These options are all, accessible only after typing in a password to prevent involuntary changes. And also settings mode is available for earlier customers who can import their proven scenarios from Quant Center here. Thank you for your attention and feel free to ask. Welcome again. So as I see, we did not receive any questions during the presentation. So thank you for your attention and for being with us today. And goodbye, and I hope we will meet each other again next time in person.
Dear attendees, dear presenters, welcome back. I hope it was worth spending 4 hours in the new era, in the smart era of digital pathology. More than 100 people at 3D Histech in Budapest worked for answering and fulfilling your request started 10 years ago after our first meets on the European conferences, world conferences. How a real and good working, robust digital pathology could be evolving. You have seen that we developed high throughput, high resolution, highly automatic, highly super robust digital slide scanners for you. Also, the patient data management and the image analysis now could be included in one simple but also complex and very useful tool. The presenters from Holland, from a big academic center, Professor Catarina Eloy from Porto, Portugal, and Paris Bicêtre Center showed to us it is not easy, but it's worth to start, to finish, and with that to enter the smart era of digital pathology. After 2021, there will be again for us a new era, a new time, the post-COVID time. And also, like any shock in the world, like any trauma in the world, brought from us, the humans, the professions, especially from the medical field and for the medical profession, an adaptation and the answer for this change in the world. Digitization, smart digitization in the pathology. And that's how we started. We would like to do it with you together in the next years. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you to Dr. Béla Molnár and to all of our speakers and participants in today's special event. On behalf of the 3D Histech, thank you for joining us today. We hope you found these information and dialogues valuable. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.
Every morning, thousands of people wake up for one mission. A unique one. To help discover the disease processes so patients can get the proper treatment. The challenges include being able to manage multiple tasks at a time. You have dedicated yourself to helping others and to making their lives better.
That slide scanner, for the first point, they have to be very fast because we have here almost 2,000 slides per day which should be scanned, so we need machines that are working very fast. We scan in a high quality that we don't have any stitching problems in images, and then we can evaluate each slide without need to repeat.
We have a mission as well. An ordinary one, to create a comprehensive diagnostic solution for you in one package. To develop innovative technologies for improving the efficiency of the pathology workflow that helps to create a reliable diagnosis. The diagnostic package includes not only robust and fast scanners, but also involves a complete pathology information system. In this mission, we are together.